Three Mages and a Margarita. That book was the beginning of a whole journey for me. At some point during the book, I went, oh, this is great. I'll have to do a review of this. But when I got to the end, I just had to read the next book and the next book and the next book and the next book. And somewhere during this first Guild Codex Spellbound series of 8 books, I realised that I would have to do a whole series review. But I got to the end of that series and I immediately gobbled up the next series set in the same world. The author is Annette and the genre is urban fantasy. And if you like urban fantasy, really, you need to read these books because she is a master of that genre. And I think what I really love about her writing is that even though it's filled with action and there's some quite grim things happening, it's beautiful. She writes so beautifully and describes everything so well. It's like you're right there. So her writing is very immediate. It's very active writing. There's only one thing about her writing that I really wish that she would get rid of. It's a bad habit. And though it's sort of on the edge, every time she does it, I wince. I mean, I'm a line editor. I notice these things. And that is starting sentences with a present participle. Those are verbs that end in ing. So a sentence like that would be running down the street, she jumped in a car, something like that. I've done lots of other videos on why that's a really terrible way to start a sentence. You can do it well, and actually she does it well, but she overdoes it. I would love it if the next book that I read from her didn't have quite so many in, because then I would be able to full-heartedly go that this woman is a master writer. She's almost there. But in this instance, that bad habit doesn't stop me from reading her books because the characters are great and they develop through the series as they should. There's Guild Codex Spellbound, there's Guild Codex Demonized, Guild Codex Warped, and the Guild Codex Unveiled, which is the last one, and she's just finished the last book in that series, which I gobbled up along with all the others. There's other series that she's done set in other worlds, but I'm not going to talk about them now, except to say I have read all her books. So I'm only going to talk about Guild Codex Spellbound for a start. This was my introduction to Annette and to the world. And it's about a girl called Tori who is down and out. She's just lost her job. She's about to lose her apartment. And she just happens to come across this nondescript building and she finds a bit of paper blown in the wind that says there's a job there. So she ends up going into this building and asking for a job. And surprise, surprise, it's not an ordinary pub. When she steps through that door, which no human should have been able to do, she steps into a world of magic, of mages, of demons, all sorts of crazy magic. And like all good urban fantasy, there's a slow burn romance. And at first you're not quite sure who that romance is going to be with. And there's a lot of mystery about the characters. They've got pasts that we don't know about. And there's things that they're not telling Tori. So, of course, there's lots to keep you reading. They are filled with action. There is a lot of fighting, and sometimes I wish that there was a little bit more of a break so I could actually turn off the light and go to sleep. But I'm not complaining. No, it's like if you really want a book that is better than movies, read Annette Marie's books because they're so alive. And so you'll see how amazingly immediate and alive her writing is. I'm going to read you a little bit from the Guild Codex Demonized, Book 1. Red light flared across the infernus and I almost dropped it. Arcing out of the pendant, the bright blaze hit the dusty tiles and pulled upward, as though filling an invisible mould. At almost 6 feet, the light solidified into the familiar shape of my demon. An extremely displeased demon. Crimson eyes stared down at me, their airy glow obscuring dark pupils that had contracted to slits against the overhead fluorescent lights. 4 small horns, 2 above each temple, hid in his tangled black hair, and a mixture of dark fabric, sturdy leather, and gleaming metal armour partially covered smooth skin the colour of toffee with a burgundy undertone. His dusky lips pulled back from his teeth, revealing pointed canines. What did you do, Paelis? What a description! I mean, it's like you're right there. So any author who is wondering whether their prose is lively enough should read some of Annette Marie's books, even if you're not into urban fantasy, because it's really immersive writing, and that's the kind of writing that we need to compete with all the other entertainment that's around there for people. Annette Marie is also an artist, and she creates the covers herself. Mostly it's not recommended that authors do their own covers because few authors have the skills to actually do great covers. But in this instance, Annette Marie's covers are stunning, and she does them with photo manipulation. So she starts off with a photo and turns them into an illustration, and they're done really well. Definitely, if you're into urban fantasy, you have to read Annette's books because they're quite remarkable, really. I hope you're going to go out and read the Guild Codex Spellbound as a start. Their first book is called Three Mages and a Margarita. Enjoy. Oh, and don't forget to like this video if you like the video, and maybe follow me and all that sort of stuff.